welcome back to Let's Reads. Welcome back to Vlogmas. So in today's video, we are actually doing our books by the decade, meaning we are doing books, in the 70s? So we've already covered books from the 90s, we've covered books from the 80s. Now we're gonna do books from the 70s. And when I was looking up, the books from the 70s and everything, I realized there are major theme and things that really focus on heavily was really cultural self-reflection. That was the major theme in the 70s. So I have some books that are well known and some books that are not well known. So far I noticed I have liked the books from the 90s have been my favorite due to the resurgence of Black women authors. But the 70s, they got some real good books out there in the 70s. So okay, let's get started. So of course it's all, we focus on Black books, we already know that. Let's go to the most popular books first. So this author, she has been on our 90s list, our 80s list, and now our 70s list, and that is Toni Morrison, of course. This book came out in 1970. Of course, we know about The Blue Side, we know about Bacola. I mean, come on now, this is a classic. Personally, this is not my favorite, but I do enjoy it. One thing that I've noticed, back in 2020, I read all her fictional catalog. She was my 3-author project I focused on that year. And with Toni, you have to really pay attention, because if you miss one word, one line, one sentence, you will be lost for the entire book, the entire book. So you really do have to pay attention to what she is saying, because girl, it's no point in even reading it. But yeah, this one, like I said, you got to get your mind right. It's not my favorite, but it's Toni Morrison. It's Toni Morrison. Okay, next, of course, Roots. Roots came out in 1976. This sold more than 6 million copies, and it was on the New York's Best Time for 22 weeks. So come on now. I mean, we all know Roots. Personally, girl, I'm always talking about black, and oh, I want to be a Black collector and da-da-da-da-da. Still haven't read this. I need to read this, okay? I have seen the miniseries billions of times, and I tried to attempt to read it. I honestly did, but I'm going to have to really commit to this. Okay, next is If Beale Street Could Talk by James Baldwin. This came out in 1974. Love this book. This is also a book that you got to get your mind right. The reason why I love this book is this is James Baldwin's, I think this is his first book that his main protagonist is a female. She's telling the whole story, and usually with his books, it's males, obviously, really telling the story. But you have Trish and Fonnie. Fonnie has been accused of a crime that he did not do, and you see their young love, you see them trying to make it, and it's just so sad. I personally, I like the movie. I like the way it ended, because you got some closure. With this, it's an open ending, but also it's what's gonna happen because of the time, and that's a Black man. You already know what's gonna happen to him. So like I said, it is an open ending, but we know. But James Baldwin writing fantastic. I mean, no one can write like James Baldwin, period. Another James Baldwin book that I really like, and it came out in the 70s, is Just Above My Head. This came out in 1979, I believe. This talks about the Black church. James Baldwin, he focuses on the Black church because he grew up in the Black church. And you have this young lady who is a child evangelist, and her mother has recently died, and she has an abusive relationship with her dad. And you see how she kind of denounces the church and things like that. There is so many characters in this book, so many, that I literally had to write them down when I was reading this book. I mean, overall, James Baldwin, like I said, is a fantastic storyteller, fantastic author. No one can write like James Baldwin. Next is actually a trilogy, and I don't have the last book, but it's by an author named Rosa Guy. Now, this, let's see. You have Friends first. That was published in 1973, and then you have Ruby, was published in 1976, and then you have Edith Jackson, that was published in 1978. These will be geared towards, I would say, YA. Yeah, YA. they're based on Rosa Guy's experience living in New York, being, a poor black, girl. And then Ruby is actually, Ruby Kathy is actually Edith's sister. And with this book, you have Ruby, who is just turned 18. They actually are from the Caribbeans, I believe. And, set in New York City. And you see her, she's 18, so she's coming in herself, and she's learning about herself, personally and everything. But she develops this friendship with a girl named Delphine. But she realizes, you know what? I actually kind of like her more than a friend. And you just see how it goes. This was a book that was really ahead of its time because it is catered to YA, but it will be classified as a LGBTQ book. But of course, they didn't market like that back in the 70s. But yeah, Rosa Guy was really ahead of her time when it came to her books, especially when it talked about, LGBTQ and young black ladies that, had those experiences. I would really urge you guys to read her books. I do have to get the Edith Jackson one because this is a trilogy, but I have read these two and really, really liked it. Okay, next is the Autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman. This was written in 1972 by Ernest J. Gaines. Fabulous. Love the book. Love the movie. I actually talked about this book in my books to movie adaptation video that I did. I mean, come on now. What can you say about Miss Jane Pittman? It's Miss Jane Pittman. Okay, next is His Own Where by June Jordan. This was published in 1971. June Jordan is actually known for her poetry and her critical essays. This would be classified as a YA. Yeah, I would say YA. So you have Bud and Angela. They come from very, let's see, tumultuous homes. Angela's mom is like verbally and physically abusive, and she ends up clinging to Buddy, and they basically like run away together. And it's a really short book. It's only like 90 pages. I remember I read this like in a day. Really liked it. And I like this edition. It's actually has an introduction by Sapphire. Sapphire wrote Precious. But I was really excited to get this because, again, I didn't know that she had written like a actual novel, because like I said, she's known for her poetry and her critical essays. So this was actually really good. Okay, next we have Evas Man by Gail Jones. Girl, girl, girl. Get your mind right, get your mind right. This was published in 1974. Who actually published her and discovered her was Toni Morrison. And girl. So with this book, oh Lord, Evas Man, you have the story of, oh Lord, Eva has recently killed her lover, and she is, recounting everything about it, and the stuff that she does and says and thinks is, but she has gone through a lot. She has been, I believe, she's been sexually abused before in her life, physically and all of that. So you see, what she does. But yeah, the story is a lot. And like I said, you do have to get your mind right. It is only 177 pages. Gail Jones can write, because the fact it is 177 pages. It's a complex story, but it's a well-rounded story. And I always say, when you have an author that can tell a story in short amount of pages, but it's still well-rounded, that means you can write. And she can write. So yeah, I know her books, all of them, it's trauma-filled, it's relationship, you dealing with some physical, sexual, verbal abuse. It's trauma with her books, but she is a fantastic writer. Okay, and then next we have Gather Together in My Name by Maya Angelou. This was written in 1974. This is probably my favorite autobiography of Maya Angelou. Love it. She has just had her son Guy. She's a young teen mother. She's trying to just establish herself. She's trying to become basically she's learning about becoming a woman. She's a young teen mom, and she goes from job to job. She goes from house to house, man to man, everything. But her mom always said, remember, you can always come home love her mom, Vivian, the lady. That's what they call her. They call her Lady. I mean, come on now. It's Maya Angelou. Love all of her, you know, her books, all of her autobiographies. I've read all of them. And I would say Gather Together in My Name is one of my favorites, and The Heart of a Woman is one of my favorites. And also, I love this book because it does not read like a, you know, nonfiction. It actually was like a fiction book. That's probably one reason why I really love it, because as you guys know, nonfiction can be kind of a bore sometimes to me. But fiction, love it. And this gives me that fiction vibe. And then the last book I want to mention that was from the 70s is Meridian by Alice Walker. This was published in 1976. Meridian Hill is a college student, and she gets involved in the civil rights movement, especially during the time when it becomes like really violent. And you know, she just becomes along with it. It's actually some of the experiences that she goes through is based on Alice Walker's life. So really good. Not my favorite, but I really did like it. It has a mix of you really could say this is like an early book of feminism, because girl, yeah, Meridian was a feminist like all the way. But yeah, overall I actually really did like this book, and as you can see, I need another copy. Mine is really battered. Okay, I think that is, yeah, all right, that is all the books I have that are from the 1970s. Again, like I said, my favorite is so far the 1990s, but you got some heavy hitters in the 1970s, and of course I didn't cover all of them. Okay, so it is still Vlogmas. Of course, I have to pick up my 3 songs that I am going to listen to today. So let me get my iPad. So the 3 songs I'm going to be listening to today is, the first is Mary J. Blige, Christmas in the City.
Hey, Christmas in the city. Christmas in the city. Ain't no place.
Now, I just discovered this like literally 2 days ago, and I mean, huge fan of Mary J. Blige. Mary J. Blige can sing, come on now. Next is Marvin Gaye's love Marvin Gaye. I mean, it's Marvin Gaye. And then the last Christmas song I'm going to be listening to is Eartha Kitt, Santa. This is a staple. You have to listen to Eartha Kitt. Okay, you gotta listen to Santa Baby during Christmas time. All right, so yeah guys, that's all I have for you. I'll be back with more Black books. Bye.